Millhaven General Hospital stood at the edge of a forgotten city, a towering monolith of flickering lights and sterile hallways. Outside, a heavy rain pounded the pavement, masking the eerie silence that had fallen over the night shift. Dr. Rebecca Hayes leaned against the nurse's station, reviewing patient charts on a dimly lit monitor. A seasoned ER physician, she had seen her share of chaos. Gunshot wounds, heart attacks, car crashes. But tonight was unusually calm. "Feels like the calm before the storm," Rebecca murmured to Laura, the head nurse. Laura, a no-nonsense woman with years of experience, shrugged. "Don't tempt fate. Quiet nights like these never last." As if summoned by her words, the emergency radio crackled to life. "Attention! Millhaven General. Ambulance inbound. Multiple casualties from a bus crash. ETA 5 minutes." Rebecca set down her coffee, the warmth of the cup replaced by a chill running down her spine. "Let's get ready," she said, her voice steady but her eyes betraying a hint of unease. The ambulance bay erupted in chaos as paramedics rushed in, pushing gurneys carrying bloodied, pale-skinned passengers. Their injuries were bizarre: deep bites, claw-like scratches, and eyes wide with terror. Jason, one of the paramedics, grabbed Rebecca's arm. His face was pale, his hands trembling. "Dr. Hayes, something's wrong. These patients, they weren't like this when we picked them up. They were hurt, yes, but coherent, then they just changed." "Changed how?" Rebecca asked, already feeling the knot tightening in her stomach. Jason's eyes darted towards the patients being wheeled into the trauma rooms. "They started attacking us, biting. 2 of my guys," his voice caught in his throat. "They didn't make it." Rebecca opened her mouth to respond, but a scream pierced the air, cutting through the din of the ER. "Trauma room 3, Laura shouted, grabbing a crash cart and sprinting toward the source of the sound. Rebecca followed, her heart pounding in her chest. In Trauma Room 3, chaos reigned. A man in his 40s, his face pale and his veins bulging black, thrashed violently on the gurney. 2 nurses tried to restrain him, but he moved with an unnatural strength. "Hold him down," Rebecca ordered, rushing to assist. The man's head snapped toward one of the nurses, his eyes a sickly yellow. With a guttural growl, he lunged, sinking his teeth into her neck. Blood sprayed across the room as the nurse screamed, collapsing to the floor. Laura yanked Rebecca back. "Get out, now!" Rebecca stumbled backward, her eyes locked on the nurse, who lay gasping on the floor. Her breathing slowed, then stopped. Silence filled the room. Then the nurse's body twitched, her eyes open, yellow and lifeless. She rose to her feet, her movements jerky and unnatural, a grotesque grin spreading across her bloodied face. Rebecca's mind raced. This wasn't a patient. This was something else. Something monstrous. "Run," Rebecca whispered. The nurse lunged toward them and the 2 women bolted from the room. The hospital descended into madness. Patients attacked staff, biting and clawing with inhuman strength. Blood smeared the walls, and the sterile white floors were now a canvas of carnage. Rebecca, Laura, Jason, and a small group of survivors barricaded themselves in the ICU. "What the hell is happening?" Jason asked, his voice trembling as he secured the doors with a gurney. "It's a virus," Rebecca said, her voice calm despite the chaos. "Something we've never seen before. It spreads through bites." Laura checked their supplies. "We have enough food and water for maybe a day. If we stay here, we're dead." Jason glanced at the security monitor. The main entrance was swarming with the infected, their bodies pressed against the glass, eyes hollow with hunger. "The ambulance bay is the same," he muttered. Rebecca's mind raced. "There's a maintenance tunnel in the basement. It leads to the parking garage. If If we can reach it, we can escape. Laura's face paled. The basement? That's where the morgue is? Jason's eyes widened. You're saying we go through there? We don't have a choice, Rebecca said. It's our only way out. Armed with makeshift weapons, EV poles, scalpels, and fire extinguishers, the group descended the dimly lit staircase to the basement. The hum of the hospital above faded, replaced by the cold, oppressive silence of the lower levels. The morgue door loomed ahead, slightly ajar. A faint chill seeped from within, sending shivers down their spines. Jason hesitated. Do we really have to go through here? Rebecca nodded. Stay close and keep moving. They entered the morgue, the air thick with the scent of antiseptic and decay. Rows of body bags lined the walls, their shapes barely visible in the flickering light. Don't look, Laura whispered, gripping her fire extinguisher tightly. But then, one of the body bags twitched. Jason stopped, his breath hitching. Did you see that? Before anyone could respond, a body bag burst open. A decayed hand clawed out, followed by a face twisted in death, but animated by hunger. Run! Rebecca shouted. The group sprinted through the morgue, the sound of ripping plastic and guttural growls echoing behind them. They reached the maintenance tunnel, slamming the heavy door shut behind them. Jason collapsed against the wall, gasping for breath. We made it, he whispered. Rebecca checked the map on the wall. The parking garage is just ahead. But as they rounded the corner, they stopped. The tunnel was blocked. Collapsed rubble and twisted metal formed an impassable barrier. No, Jason muttered, sinking to his knees. We're trapped. Laura leaned against the wall, her face pale. There has to be another way. Rebecca's mind raced, but before she could respond, a low growl echoed from behind. They're coming, Laura whispered, her eyes wide with fear. The infected had followed them. Rebecca turned to the group. We have to hold them off. If we don't, we're dead. Jason grabbed an IV pole, his knuckles white. We can't fight them all. Rebecca's eyes burned with determination. We don't have to. We just need to buy time. Time for what? Laura asked. Rebecca pulled out her phone and sent a final message to the hospital's emergency broadcast system. Code red. Containment breached. Millhaven General is lost. Do not enter. The door at the end of the tunnel shuddered as the infected slammed against it. Jason gripped his weapon tighter. This is it. The door burst open and the infected poured in, their eyes glowing with hunger. Rebecca, Laura, and Jason fought with everything they had, their makeshift weapons slicing and smashing. But the infected were relentless. One by one they fell. Rebecca, bloodied and battered, was the last to stand. She looked up at the flickering lights, her vision fading. Outside, the world watched as the hospital went dark. But Rebecca's message had been sent, and soon the infection would spread beyond Millhaven.